All the wing halves are now, well, the bottom wing halves are glued on. The top halves are dry fitted and secured with pieces of tape right now. Just checking the fit, and I'm pretty happy with it. Looks like everything lines up pretty well. I don't see any unevenness really to speak of. So I think at this point we're going to go ahead and start gluing that together. Okay, let's see. I start taking the tape off now. See if I did an okay job here or not. So far it looks okay. All right, there we are. The leading edge seam went together okay. I'm going to have to do a little light sanding to clean that up. All the trailing edges, there really is no trailing edge seam. Where the trailing edges glued together was inside here, and there's going to be the flaps over that right there. So you won't even see that seam at all. So the only real seam to have to deal with is this leading edge here. Now, I was thinking, I wonder if model kit makers can come up with a different way to put the wing halves together instead of having just this seam like this on the leading edge. Why don't they mold this thing so that the top part of the wing comes over and you actually get your seam underneath down here? Why can't they do that? I don't know if they could make a mold like that. Maybe that's the problem. Anyway, it's just an idea I had. But we have to work with what we have. So that's what we're going to do. All right. One more piece for tonight. And I'm going to call it quits after this. This, putting this piece on, represents step 42. And this is going to go on the bottom section here, down here somewhere, kind of like the front plate like that goes on to cover this area right here. So just kind of clean that up a little bit. Doesn't need too much cleaning up, but a little bit. I think that looks pretty good. Now let's see how it fits. Well, it fits, but it's not a very good fit. It's coming up short. Now, how could that happen? Here's what I mean. I get it to fit right here, but then you look here and there's a big old gap. So that means I've got to fill that in because there's no way to make that work without just filling it in. Okay, well, I think what I'll do is I'll glue that on as best I can, and then I'll get a piece of styrene to fill in that gap. Okay, let's do that. Okay, I got this last piece glued on, and as I was saying, it doesn't really fit right. There's a gap on this side, and there's a gap on this side. Well, not sure what that's going to end up doing in the long run. I'll have to fill those gaps somehow. But anyway, that's it for tonight, and I'll see you next time. All right, the time has come to attach the wings to the fuselage, and we're going to check and see how good of a fit we have here with everything. There are some tabs here that have to line up with some little nubs right there. Well, doesn't want to go together. Something is not lining up properly. Okay. Having a problem here with the wings fitting onto the fuselage, so I had to do some major surgery. I had to, well, let me see if I can explain a little bit. When I put it together, it wouldn't sit down all the way. It was kind of like this. It's kind of like that. It just didn't want to sit down, and when it did, it would rock. So I knew there was something hanging it up in this area. So by trial and error and bit by bit, I whittled away plastic, and I mainly took it out of underneath here, where it seemed to be the place where the wings were rocking and not sitting down all the way. Fortunately, this whole area in here of this whole cockpit assembly does not show, and it hasn't weakened the whole assembly. It's not weakened at all. And then I also matched that spot with cutting off plastic down in here and sanding, and that doesn't show either. So The result is that I was able to get this wing assembly onto the fuselage much easier, and it sits down much better, and it's more, well, it's more ready to glue up. There's still a big problem as far as the wing matching with the fuselage as far as gaps go. There is still some major issue with gaps here. Right in this area here in particular, big gaps, and then on this side, right in here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is not mess with this anymore. It's as good as I'm going to get it as far as the wings fitting to the fuselage. There are gaps left that I'm going to just have to deal with. I'm really disappointed in this model kit. I should have known better because it's a Revell kit. I was hoping it was going to be a lot better than this. It kind of started out that way. It gave me hope that it was a good kit because the way the whole cockpit assembly was and the detail and how good that looked and everything. But turns out that the whole cockpit assembly, especially here in the front part where it meets this undercarriage box assembly for the undercarriage, they hit each other. So that had to be all carved out and sanded down and chipped away. And now it's at a point where it's laying down the way it should. It's laying into the wings the way it should. However, there's still lots of gap. So I'm just going to glue it together. And then, like I said, I'll deal with these gaps after the glue is all set up. I'll glue it together and let it sit for the whole rest of the day. And just not touch it, not mess with it. And I'll go on to some other project I have going. I've got a couple other models I'm building at the same time, so I'll just move on to those and leave this one alone. Sometimes you just have to do that. You have to just walk away from something. Because if you don't, you'll end up throwing it in the trash. Which came into my mind a few times to just do that. To just take this whole model kit and throw it against the wall or into the trash or something like that. But I figured, no, I spent the money on this thing. I've put in a lot of work so far. I can't let this piece of plastic get the better of me. At least not this time. In the past, when I was building the Revell Tempest in 132 scale, I had a lot of similar problems with it, and same thoughts went through my mind of just taking it and trashing it, tossing it, crashing it into a wall, whatever. It gets so frustrating sometimes. There have been, and I'm sure some people have experienced this, there have been some models that I've built in the past that were just beyond hope. Just not worth the effort to do anything like that. I mean, you just ended up throwing them away. Fortunately, those models were such that they were very, very cheap, low quality type models, old models that wings were warped too bad, gaps were just way too big, a variety of reasons. So they just got tossed. This one, I guess I'm determined to finish it. See how it all comes out in the end? hopefully it will turn out okay in the end. I've still yet to fit the horizontal stabilizers and the rudders and the ailerons and these front covers for the machine guns on and the landing gear. There's still a bunch to do. That all has the potential of not fitting very well. I decided a few weeks ago that I'm not going to buy any more of these Revell kits that, you know, have been reboxed and they have a new painting on the top box and looks real nice, and they say it's, you know, blah blah blah. They give all these, they build it all up like it's some great thing when it's not. I'm going to try and just stick to buying and building Tamiya kits and ICM kits, trumpeter kits even. Trumpeter's okay, better than these Revells. Hasegawa, sometimes you get some good kits. But I recently just picked up a couple of Tamiya kits that I've already looked at it, and all the reviews are 100% positive, and the parts look great. And since it's Tamiya kit, you're almost guaranteed it's going to fit together really nice, and it's going to be a fun experience building it. This one, since I ran into these severe fitting problems with the wings, it's not fun right now, and so I'm looking at it as a chore and something that I just have to finish because I'm determined to finish it. Yeah. So anyway, there we go. I've glued this. The front portion of the wing section to the front portion of the fuselage. I've been holding it down. It looks like it's still holding together. So I'm going to let that dry. I'm not going to touch it. Well, I got the wings glued onto the fuselage. And as you can see, it's a mess. Real bad gaps. Right here. And back here. And up here. And a little bit right in there. Let me turn it over. And there's a unevenness right there. This side right there looks okay, except there's a big hole where that gap is. So, good old Revell strikes again, huh? That's too bad. Seemed like this model was had a lot of promise. This top part where the engine compartment is wasn't the greatest fit either. Yeah, so I'll keep at it. It's lost its thrill for me, but I'm determined to finish it. Once it all gets put together and some paint's on the decals, it'll probably look a lot better, but right now I'm pretty discouraged with it. That's just terrible. It's going to take a bunch of work to get that all fixed. Problem is with all this nice rivet detail and panel lines and everything that look pretty nice all over the body of this thing. Now it's going to get all messed up, filling in these cracks and stuff. Oh well, that's the way it goes with building models sometimes. Sometimes you have some real nice experiences, and sometimes you have this. It's going to be a challenge to finish this. It's going to be a challenge for me to keep my patience and keep working on this. There's a piece that goes on right here. I'm going to find that right now. Put that on. I have taken my sprue goo and put it into these gaps around the wing root area. I'm not sure if that's going to do the trick or not. It's almost dried. We shall see about that. But while that is totally drying up, I'm going to find this bottom section right here and glue that on. See how it fits. All right. Okay, here's the part that I'm going to use. Now, as I was showing at the very beginning of this kit build, there are two. One is this one here. I put tape on it to, I don't know. And this is if you want to make the naval version. It has the grooves molded into where the resting hook goes in. So supposedly you can put that on there and turn this into a naval version if you care to do so. I mean, it sounds kind of neat, but I'm not doing that. Anyway, just thought I'd point that out. So here's the piece I need. It's going to go in right here, right? And at first glance, it fits, but I see some gappage, perhaps. We'll see. I just need to do a touch of sanding to where the points were that it attached to the sprue. There are several pieces that make up the air scoops underneath on the underside of the fuselage, and I'm going to work on those, and they build into two main air scoops. One goes right here in this bigger section, then one goes here in the front. And they're all on the H sprue. So I'm going to go ahead and remove all those, and we're going to start gluing those together. There's something I've noticed about the plastic that ICM uses. It's softer, I should say, than, say, Revell or even Tamiya's plastic. Two reasons I know that when you cut it, it just feels soft when you cut it, and then also it doesn't have a loud snapping noise when you cut it, and tends to not fling or shoot off as far as it normally would, I guess. Anyway, got most of this all clipped off here, and then I'll clean it up and I'll start gluing it together.